The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for Friday, the 18th of March, 2016 are currently trading with gold at $1,255.09 an ounce, silver $15.79 an ounce, Texas crude $40.20 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently sitting at about 409 U.S. currency. Today in history, the year 1314, Jacques de Molay, the 23rd and last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, is burned at the stake at a scaffold in front of Notre Dame by decree of the cardinals and in conjunction with the Archbishop of Sens and some other prelates who were called in. Templar Grand Masters de Molay and Charnay were slowly burned to death for refusing to recant their heretical beliefs. Today in history. In recent news, Salah Abdeslam, Europe's most wanted man for being suspected of physically partaking in the Paris Islamic State shootings November of last year, was captured today after a shootout in Brussels. This capture finally giving investigators the first suspected active participant to be taken alive. Prosecutors said a second wanted man, who used the false name of Amin Chakouri, was also wounded and captured in the raid. Luckily, French President François Hollande was visiting Brussels for a European summit and was able to personally conduct a joint news conference with the Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel, where he said that France would request very soon the extradition of Salah Abdeslam. Security services will obviously be seeking information on Islamic State plans and structures, his contacts in Europe and in Syria, and looking into his support and financial networks. Police did obtain Abdesam's fingerprints as well as fake Syrian and Belgian identity documents. Radar scans of King Tut's burial chamber have revealed two hidden compartments. Yesterday at a Cairo news conference, Egyptian Antiquities Minister Mamdouh Al-Damadi declined to comment on whether any royal treasure or more mummies might be inside of the rooms, but did state that the unexplored chambers could hold some kind of organic or metal objects. He also showed the results of the radar scans that revealed anomalies in the walls of the tomb, indicating a possible hidden door and rooms behind false walls that were covered up and painted over with hieroglyphics. The radar scans of the chamber taken last year and analyzed in Japan are set to be repeated at the end of the month for verification. The Lone Star Lowdown is currently looking to fill some ad slots. If you have a product or a service that you would like to advertise with us, feel free to give me a call at 210-363-2257. This has been Rick Rohde with your Lowdown for March 18th, 2016.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I have a joke for you.
Okay.
The government in this town is excellent and uses your tax dollars efficiently.
I you see it coming. The moment you
Bitcoin is immune from attack almost completely. Bitcoin, you actually gain far more from using the computing power to generate Bitcoin.
There's a system approaching perfection. Just in time for my disappearance. There's a system approaching perfection. Just in time for my disappearance.
We'll walk deeper into the belly of the beast if it means I'm able to further limit reckless government spending. I mean, I have so many ideas. Some are simple, like take down traffic lights and eliminate the post office. The bigger ones will be tougher, like bring all of this crumbling to the ground.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Crypto Show, a show dedicated to understanding the promise of currency, technology, and liberty in the pursuit of a free society. And if you believe like we do that such a society can and should exist, then join us, why don't you, as we parade through a world unbound by convention, a world sketched by the beauty of the human artist. Because each and every one of you listening right now is that artist. So for the next 2 hours, let go of your most sacred system of thought and entertain the possibility that maybe, just maybe, everything we've been told about currency, technology, and yes, even that dirty little word anarchy is only one part of an ever-expanding, ever-possible, complex universe of ideas, one that we simply refuse to explore. So what do you say, listeners? Let's do some universe exploring tonight and have some fun while we do it. Trying to catch me wide and nerdy.
Yeah, you are wide and dirty, but that's a whole nother story.
That's not what I said. That's not
wide and dirty. That's a whole different ballgame.
Oh, he's calling me fat. He calls me fat a lot in various different subtle ways and not so subtle ways. Well, welcome. guys, to the Crypto Show. This is Sunday, March 20th, 2016, here on Logos Radio Network. And, of course, we are brought to you, as always, by our sponsors, Hill Country Home Improvements and Brave New Books. And don't forget to go to Brave New Books' two websites, bravenewbookstore.com, where you can check out a lot of the line of products as well as upcoming events, and the bitcoinbookstore.com, where you can find over 50 titles on Bitcoin, exclusively on Bitcoin. And I don't know if the Logos Radio Network fundraiser is still ongoing, but even if it's not, please go to logosradionetwork.com and donate. Well, speaking of donations, right before I get to our two guests who are in studio, I want to go ahead and declare that last night's Ross Ulbricht Appeals Fund fundraiser was a success. A bunch of us went downtown wearing Free Ross T-shirts, and the proceeds from the shirts went to the Free Ross Appeals Fund. And of course, you can donate too at thecryptoshow.com/freeross. And more than just donate, you can purchase and bid on items, the proceeds of which go to the Appeals Fund as well. Pretty cool stuff. And we hope to do another pub crawl again, fundraiser, because we find that whether or not we raise a lot of money, we at least have a lot of fun.
Yelling out, random windows from the second floor.
And running into David Comey, the lawyer that rocks.
Right.
It really was him, by the way. I know you were skeptical.
I know.
He showed me his ID. It was him. So it's a local lawyer, this guy. He wears really long dreadlocks and like a leather jacket in his promo. Yeah. And he's the lawyer that rocks. I think he's supposedly part of a band.
Yeah, his old gig was, what was it? I don't look like a lawyer, so I can sneak up on them.
Being disarming or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Sneak attack.
Yeah, exactly. It works. I mean, he definitely gets name recognition out there.
But, anyway, his hair was like in the pictures. His hair is a lot darker. Okay. And I didn't think it was him, so I just kind of went up to him.
I mean, if people told me
just made fun of him. I was making fun of him for looking like David Comey.
But does he just own it?
But he was David Comey.
Well, what's funny is, and not to dwell on this too long, but I went back up there to prove to Danny that it was him, and I was like, "Are you David Comey or just a guy who looks like David Comey?" And he pauses and says, "Both." And then he shows me his ID, and I thought that was pretty clever. I was like, "You're probably not a bad lawyer." That was a good response. Well, anyway,
that or just some random dude that has a fake ID
of the guy you're talking about.
Right. Well, I guess if I had dreadlocks too, I was some like white guy with long dreadlocks, middle aged. I might get a fake David Comey ID. Why not? Yeah, I like to impersonate people. Well, speaking of people, but not people who are being impersonated, that was I've done better segues.
Yeah,
we have two. Don't agree with me.
That was sarcastic.
Excellent. I'll let that pass. We have two excellent guests in studio today. One of whom has actually been on our show. His name is Jason King.
What?
Thank you for being here, Jason.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's great to see you face to face.
Yeah, for sure. Although I'm telling you, I think we've met before. I do.
I'm pretty positive we have. And like you said, it was either at. Were you at the second annual Bitcoin conference?
I was
as
not
well,
at
or just
the
the first?
Yeah, I wasn't at the second one.
Okay, I was at the first one, just not as much. But I do remember being there actually, so we did probably meet.
Word.
Well, good to finally have you on the show in person, and you're not just a disembodied voice anymore. Well, Jason King is the recipient of Don't Mess with Texas t-shirt.
Yes, and Don't Mess with Bitcoin.
Oh, Don't Mess with Bitcoin
Don't Mess with
t-shirt.
Bitcoin.
That's even better.
Where are we?
Yeah, right. This is Bitcoin land. Well, it's a Texas Bitcoin show, okay? Well, Jason King joins us today with Dean Maisley. Did I get that right?
Yeah, correct. You got it.
Excellent. And both gentlemen are co-founders of Sean's Outpost.
No.
Of the new project that they're working on.
Yes, I am a co-founder of Sean's Outpost, and Dean is my co-founder at unsung.org, which is our new project that sort of grew out of all the stuff we learned at Sean's Outpost.
Awesome. Okay, that's why when you said he was the co-founder, I was like, I don't ever remember talking to you about that.
Yeah, in the background,
Yeah, when we talked about Sean's Outpost. Well, that's really exciting. Well, let's get to what was the new project called again?
Unsung.org.
Unsung.org.
Yes. Being an unsung hero.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's a pretty, I like that, simple but catchy.
Right. We hope so.
Foundation name. Well, tell us first, and you've been on the show before. It's been a while, and certainly our listenership has hopefully grown since the last time you were on. And there's people who may not have listened to your particular episode that you were on with us a while back. But tell us a little bit about first Sean's Outpost, and give us a little background for yourself. And then we can also get into Unsung and what that's all about.
Sure. So I was a tech entrepreneur, and I was in Bitcoin pretty early, like 2010, which makes me pretty old in the space, actually, unfortunately. But a little over 3 years ago, I started getting to homeless outreach and started getting into feeding homeless people in my hometown of Pensacola, Florida. And when the price of Bitcoin reached $50, which, was a huge milestone for the currency. There was like all this bickering. I know that's weird, right? Bickering in Bitcoin.
It has long since ceased.
Right, but the bickering back then was whether this value was real, right? You're like you're valuing it at $50, but it's really $50. Like it's just,
I remember those arguments.
It's ones and zeros. It's not really. And so like flippantly, I was like, well, you know what? If you give me a Bitcoin, I'll feed 40 homeless people with it. And then it's like
that is value.
Be careful what
absolutely.
Be careful what you wish for, right? And so like we got like 10 Bitcoins, and so like the first week we fed 500 meals to the homeless.
Wow, that's incredible.
And did a really good job of taking pictures of it and like having this transparency of what we were doing and verifying that this cryptocurrency that was sent was used in this way to feed these people, and that it really resonated. Surprising to me and to I think the whole community that idea of hey. Like you can send this cryptocurrency and get this, level of transparency that's not really been available before.
Right.
And then so, 3 years later, we're 167,000 meals at Sean's Outpost, all paid for with cryptocurrency.
Wow. 167,000.
Yeah. A little over 167,000. And then, we also in the summer of 2013 purchased 9 acres of land in Pensacola, Florida. That's called Satoshi Forest. And our mortgage on that we've paid in Bitcoin. And it's a safe space to be homeless in Pensacola. Where it's still pretty much functionally illegal to be homeless in most of the state of Florida.
Wow,
they
really?
treat you like a criminal for being, not for being poor and not having a place to be. So, going on 3 years, we've had this 9 acres where if you're on it, it's like ollie oxen free. Like, they can't come harass you
because it's private land and they're
ours.
Welcome guests there.
Now they've harassed us pretty much nonstop.
You're kidding with the police or?
Oh yeah, the county. I mean, we've been to court 4 or 5 times over our right to be able to like have people camp on private property and not bother anybody. Yeah, it's insane.
What is I'm just curious if they even have one. What is their justification for even meddling with that?
They just they go through the gamut. Like it's at first
anything they can think of basically.
Well, at first it was a public nuisance. They're like, you're creating a nuisance condition, and we're like, actually, when we bought the land, it was like literally a dump site. Like the neighborhood around it had been using it as a legal dump ground. And we found like crack pipes and heroin needles and stuff, and we cleaned it all up, and it's this beautiful space now. So that all got thrown out. They couldn't go that route. And then it was then we were operating a commercial campground, but we weren't doing commerce because we weren't charging people, so that's illegal too. And
you're giving stuff away.
I mean,
what's commercial about
there's
that?
just and they're like, well, like tents or like creating a water permeation problem where the water is not draining into the ground where the tent is.
Wow.
I mean, like the amount that they've reached to like, and they're still doing it. I mean, we've got some current violations we're dealing with right now that are
people's feet
nonsense.
on the ground is preventing water absorption.
Yeah, I mean, it's
those
really
need to be eradicated.
It's totally insane. Like
wow.
the level of I would have never guessed ever before getting into homeless outreach and advocacy for homeless rights. I would have never guessed that there was this level of pushback for helping, the poor. I would have never have guessed it. And I think probably most people don't get that.
Yeah.
But I have, and like in my past, I've done some shadier things,
Tell us about those.
Like I've sold drugs before, we do things in college, but never had any problems, 0 problems with police, 0 problems with the government, nothing, never, not one. Like the first month I started helping homeless people, they're like, yeah. You.
Well, it's kind of like, we've had Lynn Ulbricht, the mother of Ross Ulbricht on.
Lynn's amazing.
She is incredible.
She's just such a great,
she's
strong.
She's like a superwoman. I'm pretty sure someone should do genetic tests on her. She's like an ex-woman. But, it's kind of like with Ross. He just runs a website. He gets 2 life sentences. Actual drug dealers that they busted off of the website get 8 to 10 years.
Okay, so
it's just like that, how perverse it is.
Well, in that exact thing, it's like that hits really close to home. So I was in the courtroom when Ross got sentenced. Like,
cool.
I went to it. Well, it wasn't cool.
Well, not cool.
It was the opposite of cool.
Yeah.
I've never felt so chilled to my bone. Like,
hearing what
that judge said, like how much he was railroaded and how much
how open she was about it,
just
too.
like, yep, you're totally screwed. This is I mean, they brought in like a mother of a kid who died in Australia, and they couldn't even prove that the drugs that the kid died from came from the Silk Road, but it was like drugs that could have been. I mean, it was like the most ridiculous thing. And obviously it's horrible, right?
Yeah.
If your child overdoses, that's terrible. It's also not Ross Ulbricht's fault that happened.
Well, let's talk more about that as well as Sean's Outpost and Unsung on the other side with Jason King and Dean Mason.
Thanks.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
This is what happens when you call the cops. Say what? This is what happens when you call the cops. Come on. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot. I'm sick of people being victimized by criminal cops. Psychopathic predators terrorizing neighborhood blocks. Equipped with pepper spray mace.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Crypto Show. Again, on this lovely Sunday, March 20th, 2016, here on Logos Radio Network, brought to you, as always, by our sponsors, Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. And we have the great luxury to speak with two wonderful guests in person, in studio, at the tail end of this South by Southwest week. Jason King, founder of Sean's Outpost, a Bitcoin charity that has been wildly successful, feeding over the past 3 years over 160,000 people, correct?
Correct.
And he has also started Satoshi Forest, which is sort of a refuge. You said it's
Sanctuary. 9 Acre Homeless Sanctuary.
9 acres homeless sanctuary in Florida that's been helping a lot of homeless people. And like he mentioned, and this is really true throughout a lot of the country, homeless people are treated as criminals in many municipalities, whether it's
almost exclusively everywhere in this country. I mean,
yeah, literally.
Like the places where that doesn't happen, like those are the weird places.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, we treat our homeless people like human beings. Like, whoa, that's weird as hell.
You hippies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's crazy talk. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the rhetoric is always like, oh, the government's there, the state, the city are there. They care about the homeless. They care about the poor. They're working tirelessly to improve their lives. And it's just the exact opposite, of course.
Yeah, they're just like frustrated to exist. They're like, I don't want to deal with this.
And, just real quick, what do you think it is? Is it like jealousy because they don't like seeing private sector people doing what they feel is their God-given right?
No, so here's the thing, right? And I think this is real talk on this, right? And I think that this is probably a show where I can actually voice this opinion and it's okay. Is it honestly, I believe that it is that sort of the biggest fallacy that people have when they support the government, right? When you're like, I think the government's screwing everything up. They're like, yeah, well, here's the thing, but the government takes care of all the poor people, right? And that's just fundamentally not a true statement, right? So if you have private individuals and organizations that are just blatantly just like shining that spotlight on the fact that what they get to hide behind, that like most people give as the reason that they're okay with the government trampling on their rights and their livelihoods, is that they take care of the poor. If you are, as an organization, shining this huge spotlight on just how ineffective and like just grossly bureaucratic and terrible the government actually is at that job, they get really offended at that crap. Like, because you're really reaching into their pocketbook at that point.
That makes sense, because like that's the last resort of the government is to say, well, at least we're inefficient and we steal money from you and we inflate your purchasing power away, etc. We send your children and daughters to war, but at least we take care of the poor. But when you contrast it with actual organizations that are actually doing it wildly more effectively and successfully than the government, then you're taking away their last reason for existence.
And that's it. And I talk to people about that all the time. Is that whatever your activism is, that's great. Like whatever you're doing, that's fantastic. But in terms of like the efficiency and like effectiveness, pick up a soup ladle. Like start taking care of homeless people, and you will immediately get a response from people because they'll like in Pensacola, like my mother was one of those people. She was kind of like, when we started sort of having a scuffle with the government over feeding the homeless, she was like, well, I'm sure they'll come around. Like what you guys are doing is good. There's no way they could really have. And then she's now like, fuck the police. Like, I mean, she's like, really? Sorry. I don't know. Can I say that? I can't say that here.
Not on air, but that's
okay.
That's right.
Okay, my bad.
But yeah, and that's great. I'm glad that your mother was a wise woman to realize that, because a lot of people, they just live in this la la land world of giving the benefit of the doubt to people in government, despite repeated instances to the contrary over and over again. And so that's a really sad situation.
However, if you were probably receiving over half of it in subsidies, they would be all over you like, hey, yeah, it's cool.
No,
because it appears like we're actually taking care of them and not you. We're the ones,
Exactly. No, and it's all about appearances with the government. Right. So, well, and you're right. All it really takes is some effective action on the part of individuals. One man can make a huge difference.
For sure.
Just like what you've done, just like what you two are going to do with unsung.org that we'll talk about here shortly. It really isn't that difficult. Even at Brave New Books here, for a time, we had taken this homeless guy under our wing, and we actually employed him for several months. And we saw a lot of improvement in his life as far as character, confidence, and self-sufficiency. And it was amazing what just giving someone a chance would do, and opening up your heart a little bit, opening up a little bit of your pocketbook and a little bit of your time. So
it's surprising how easy it is to do good, and then like how large of an impact that little effort reaches.
Yeah. And so when people, people are sort of, I think, disinclined to help, not because they don't care, but they think they can't do much, but you really can't.
Right. Yeah, you really can.
So, well, let me ask you, too, about Satoshi Forest. It's a sanctuary for the homeless, do they have any sort of like skill building or character building activities that they do, or anything, or community activities to help them with their morale, or what's
no? And so here's the deal. And so sort of the things that you're alluding to there are sort of they're kind of this myth about what you need to do to take care of homeless people.
Yeah.
Right? And so what happened is in the 80s, the government started subsidizing programming for how to take care of the homeless. And what they did was they got away from supporting shelters, and they got away from supporting like soup kitchens and like feeding them, right? Because they're basically it's that fallacy of give a man to fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a man to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life.
Right.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but if you're starving, I can't teach you to fish, like at all. I can't. Like you're just like, dude, I haven't eaten in 3 days. Why do I have a fishing pole in my hand? So like,
my blood sugar drops. I can't even think. Like I stopped thinking.
Right, and then imagine you compound that with then you've been sleeping on the street for 6 months. Like it's just like that. So they've taken that's it. It's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah,
they've taken away like the subsidy for the most basic things that you need, and they put it all into these higher things like job, education, schooling, things like that. Things that are important. Mental health, all that stuff. It's really, really important. But
at the top of the pyramid,
if you can't eat, you can't function in any of these things. And then so they have 25 years of results of them being like, well, these other programs we got, we're not getting the numbers in it, we're not having the effectiveness. It's like, oh, I wonder why.
Right.
Like the people that you're putting in there can't eat, they don't have a safe space to be. So what we did was we just created a safe space. Literally just that. It's a safe space. We go and check on people. We have strict code of conduct. There's no violence. There's no drugs. There's no drinking out there. Like that. That's just the rules. And we're a one strike and you're out thing on those rules. Everybody's cool. We've never had any incidents with a neighbor. Like the only incidents we've had is like the neighbors coming on and like being like bigoted towards our homeless people.
Which is not really anything you can do anything about
that. But we have a higher graduation rate than any other shelter service in Northwest Florida.
Congratulations.
By like 4 times. Like I think the average is like they do 6 or 7% graduation, and our graduation rate's like almost 30%.
Wow.
Yeah, when we talked to you before, we were talking about the amount of meals that you provided and the amount of meals that the government provided in your area, and how you were far more efficient than them in terms of how much money that you spent for the meals and how much they spent.
Well, so in the first year that John's Outpost was, and we'll get into what happens with our meals and how that's kind of morphed into Unsung now. But in the very first year, when we didn't have any idea what we were doing, we were just out there balls to the wall doing it. We fed 93,000 meals to the homeless in that first year.
Wow.
And we did it with about $125,000 ish, something like that, right? And the next highest group that did the highest number of meals fed 56,000. And they did it with like $1.4 million. So they fed like half the meals with 10 times more money.
Wow.
And they had like billboards and everybody loves them and I'm like,
so it's all PR for them.
It's like 100 times more money.
Well, it's crazy. It's this thing that in the nonprofit sector that there's like no oversight in terms of effectiveness of what you're doing, right? That it's all this like lovey-dovey, you should just give because it's the right thing to do, all this crap. It's like, I came from a startups background. Like we have metrics, we have analytics. Like, like this is what we're going for. If you're moving towards the X, it's good. If you're moving away from the X, you need to stop that behavior. Like
reevaluate.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's missing from a lot of these other organizations.
So many of them. And then that was another thing. We pointed out this inefficiency in the system. I hated that too.
Which again is so perverse. It's like you think a constructive criticism would be taken well because, hey, that criticism is going to allow them to be more effective at helping the poor. But no, it turns into what probably is an ego thing. And then, how dare you point this stuff out?
And so they receive a lot of government subsidies and forms of grants and things like that. And then so a lot of people don't realize this, but there's basically this meta charity system, right, where there's these gatekeeper foundations that the government funnels money into, and then they get to decide which organizations actually get that money, right? And so what they do is it's basically like, that scene in Batman where they like snap the pool stick and he's like, we got one job opening, like he throws 2 pointed sticks and he's like, whoever's left gets the job. They literally do that with your tax dollars to charities. And so like instead of like, me and you both have a homeless organization and us getting together and being like, hey, how can we work together to do this? You look at me like I'm stealing your money, right? Like, and then so you need to beat me down so that you can get more money.
Wow.
And it's so they make it all adversarial.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned, guys.
If you can't beat them, eat them. That's the rallying cry of a new food movement, and their members could be living and hunting right in your neighborhood. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll be back with more in just a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This public service announcement is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
All you need is an open mind and a healthy appetite to help save the planet. That's the philosophy of environmental activists called invasivores. Their goal is to save the planet from invasive plants and animals by hunting them down and eating them. Governments have spent billions trying to eradicate pests like Asian carp and edible weeds that threaten native ecosystems, but they haven't had much success. Invasivores figure if they can get humans to develop a taste for dishes like broiled lionfish with sautéed field mustard greens, the invaders won't stand a chance. So they're blogging and writing cookbooks in hopes you'll help make mincemeat out of control species. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht. More news and information at CatherineAlbrecht.com.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time. Take back the power. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time. Take back the power. What you gonna do when they show up in black suits on your street and army boots and they're to silence you? What you gonna say when they strip your rights away and the tax man makes you pay for every bit of sweat you've had today? We don't need to run and hide. We won't be pushed off to the
All right, guys, welcome back to the Crypto Show, and we are talking with our in-studio guest, Jason King, founder of Sean's Outpost, a Bitcoin charity out of Pensacola, Florida, and Dean Maisley, who is co-founder with Jason King of unsung.org, and we'll talk just about we'll talk about just exactly what unsung.org is here shortly, and we've been discussing Sean's Outpost, how many people it's fed, over 160,000 people at an efficiency rate over 10 times better than the other leading charity there, a huge difference. And what a testament to what people can do.
You got to say it like Bernie.
It's huge. It's huge. I can't do that. I'm going to have to practice the Bernie before I might do that if we ever heard.
Apparently there's no H in it. It's just huge.
It's huge. I'll do my Arlo the President's dead. Anyway, we're also talking about Satoshi Forest, a sanctuary for homeless people in Pensacola.
There's a similar model here in Austin with from Mobile O's and Fishes. And it's I guess I forget what it's called, the homeless village east of Austin. But
in Satoshi Forest, we actually wanted to be exactly like that, really. And we actually broke ground about the same time that they did. Right. We got hit much sooner with lawsuits than they did, and we actually haven't been. We have one tiny home on Satoshi Forest. We had plans to have 40 of them, but we actually we've completely hit a wall in terms of development of being able to do that.
And so, are they getting you as far as like permits and stuff and code?
It's everything. It's just it's insane. They want. They wanted us to submit to say that we were a recreational RV campsite, but to do that, they wanted like $15,000 as a development fee, like what? just to hold on, just to view the plans and tell us whether or not that would be okay. So it's like literally, and like we'd already been to court like 5 times. And so we know that they're going to say it's not okay, but they're like literally like, well, you just give us $15K and then, and I'm like, dude, like, do you know what we can do with $15,000? Like, I'm not giving it to you for a couple of pieces of paper.
Yeah, that would be such a waste. What a scam.
Well, and then we're like, well, you guys can waive the fee because they waived it for Walmart, right? But like, nope. Well, I can't waive the fee, because Walmart needs that $15,000, right? That's unreal. That's delusional. It's insane,
and that's how the regulatory power of the state, aside from all the terrible things it does, it can act discriminately to hurt people that the state wants to sort of persecute and eliminate, and then help those it wants to be buddy with, and that's retarded. $15,000 could feed so many people.
Well, so like right now is that we hope it doesn't end up like this. We have maybe a way around it, but like right now they're basically saying that they changed the land use law and that we can't have tents on our site for more than 30 days, like in the course of a year.
And is this that ecological thing you were discussing?
No, it's literally just some arbitrary change in the development. It was really like a change in the development code
in response to
us. And so, and literally, and this is not a joke, and I wish it was a joke, but it's not a joke. Literally, the county government's like, look, there's a simple way. You just like get rid of all the tents and then you don't have a violation. Like, it's okay if all the homeless people sleep out there in the rain, in the cold, in the mud. That's fine. They can't have tents.
That's cruel. They're basically they're saying if you do the impossible, if you do something that would make the whole project kind of pointless, then you could go ahead with the project.
Right. Well, and the thing is that we're back in litigation with them again, and we won 2 years ago. We won. We've won every case that's been brought against us because it's been ridiculous. And the magistrate had told the county to leave us alone, but they went and found another way to come at us. But if our newest plan, which is basically we're applying for a small development like change that they're gonna, which is only like $800 instead of 15 grand or 10 grand or whatever. So we're actually having to pony that up, and then hopefully they'll just approve it and everything will be cool. But not super optimistic about that. But anyway, if we get into violation state for that, they're literally going to fine us $500 a day for like every day that we have. And as much as I like to be like, stand up, like we'll be gone. I mean, that's $15,000 a month in fines. That's crazy talk.
That is insane.
It's not so. It's exactly what they can do. It's like the fastest way to make a criminal is to make
homeless guys can't just chip in and come up with 15 grand.
Oh yeah, dude, all the time. That's it.
Well, and how are you able to afford some of these litigation costs? Is that coming from donations?
So we have been unbelievably fortunate in having really, really good legal representation offer their services pro bono to us.
Awesome.
And there's literally like the second best land use attorney in the state of Florida is our attorney.
Wow. Well, I think he's the best in my book.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's like if he can't get it done, if he can't get it through here, then like there's no one's going to get it done. So, but maybe it works out. Who knows? Yeah. Good things do happen sometimes. But yeah, so you might see some crazy Occupy Satoshi Forest style stuff here shortly, maybe.
Wow.
Because I don't know what to do at that point.
Well, if you do, let us know. We'll have you back on to promote that.
Because I can't really imagine being like, yeah, hey, you guys got to leave. Did you guys lose the property? Oh no, we own it. But you guys got to go. Like,
and what would they think too? How would they feel about that?
Well, they know. They like we keep everybody in the loop there.
Yeah.
And I live in Baltimore now, so I'm not like Mike Kimbrell, my co-founder at Sean's Outpost. He's the man on the ground. He's really the one dealing with the day to day there. I just sort of get the phone call highlights of it and executive decision kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
But, it's just terrible. Like just the way they treat it. They don't treat people like humans. Like they don't see them as human beings. They see them as nuisance. And it's
that's really sad.
Yeah.
It's like they're. Like vermin on the land, and they need to just eradicate them, basically.
Yep.
Well, and real quick, we have so much more to talk about. Where can people go to learn about Sean's Outpost and to donate?
Sean'sOutpost.com. Yeah, it's just SEANS Outpost.com.
And there's a little QR code there for Bitcoin.
Yeah, we take Bitcoin. We take altcoins. I think we've got the Shapeshift lens up, so you can donate pretty much anything you want to it.
Awesome.
Or you can go to Change Tip and pick any of Sean's Outpost or any of the other charities, you forward your tip if somebody tips you.
Yeah, we're a default charity on Change Tip.
Oh, that's right. We've had Kyle Kemper of Change Tip on. He mentioned that. That's right.
We have ours set up for free raw. So
hey, that's cool. That's good.
I love that guy, Kyle. We need to get him back on. He's so much fun. Was he real quick? I don't mean to change subjects, but was he in town for South by?
No, he's in San Francisco.
I just saw him in Miami in January. We were in a hackathon together. He was doing Social Wallet now.
Yeah. Social
Wallet. Okay.
Yeah, and he was. My other co-founder Steven and I were doing a multi-sig bounty application, and they were doing Social Wallet in the same hackathon. So
awesome,
Kyle. For a while.
Yeah, he's a great guy, really smart guy. He gave us a lot of tips last year about how to promote the show and make various improvements. Sharp guy, great guy to hang out with. Hopefully we'll have him on again. We got 2 minutes till break. One thing I wanted to comment on real quick is you brought up a good point earlier about the sort of fallacy that is prevalent about homeless people, and one that the government clearly subscribes to and promotes, and that's this idea that if you teach a man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. And there may be truth to that in a particular context, but like you said, if you're not fulfilling the basic need of being able to eat and being able to drink, basic survival stuff then
nothing else matters.
But
it doesn't. I mean, it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a pyramid.
Yeah.
If the base is gone, there is no.
It's like building a house without a foundation.
Yeah,
expect it to stand the rest. Yeah.
If you teach him to make dynamite, he can throw that in the water and feed the whole village.
That's true. But the government's going to keep the dynamite and just kill the villagers.
Right.
But I just wanted to say that that's just an example where the government perpetuates, maybe not necessarily knowingly, a fallacy in part because it's so insulated from new and innovative ideas.
But so I don't believe that it's unintentional, because literally we have over 100 years. I mean, literally like a century's worth of documented scientific research on the correlation between cognition and nutrition. Like if you don't eat breakfast in school, you're going to fail in school. We have all that research. It's already been done. They know that that's true, and they refuse to put that into this situation because it's people they don't care about. So
right. Well, okay, I basically agree with you. I don't always go to the intentional part because a lot of people don't like to believe that, but it is true. It's hard to believe. It's implausible that it wouldn't be intentional given all the information that's out there, like you said. And we're coming to break, and I just want to say it's also demeaning because it's like saying people can't take care of themselves once they're given basic survival.
Right.
I think they can. We'll be right back, guys, with Jason King and Dean Maisley. Stay tuned.
Easy.
waiting for the rainbow's end to cast its glow your way. Countless away. You pass the day.
All righty. Good evening and welcome back to the Crypto Show, guys, on this lovely Sunday, March 20th, 2016, here on Logos Radio Network. And we're speaking with Jason King, founder of Sean's Outpost, and Dean Maisley, his co-founder at the organization unsung.org. And it's more than just an organization, it's also an app, and we'll talk about that here momentarily. But yeah, as we were coming out from break, or coming out into the break, I was just mentioning how, you know, the government sort of operates on this fallacy about, you know, all you have to do is get jobs programs or skills training or whatever, and people will be fine, while reducing funding or focus on the very basics of just feeding people. And, you know, if you think about it, it makes no sense. You know, I can personally attest to the fact that when my blood sugar gets low, and that's not even me starving, that's just me, you know, I waited a few 2 hours long to eat, I can't think. My brain just freezes up. Imagine somebody who hasn't eaten for 2 days and he slept out on the concrete in the cold. You know, if you're not really focusing on getting him to, you know,
and then ask him to get a job while he's like that.
Well, yeah. And you can actually take that even farther, right? So imagine that you do get somebody in a jobs program. The guy's not eating well, right? So he has really bad stuff. So he's having a hard time concentrating, and then he's getting stressed out and maybe aggressive over the fact that he can't learn because he's frustrated because he's not eating. So now they're going to bring in psychiatrists. Now he's going to get hit with like, well, this guy's got a mental disorder. He's going to get labeled with that, and then he's going to have that whole thing to contend with as well. And it's really, the problem was he didn't eat.
Yeah.
You know, and like that can, you know, you get these guys in these cycles, and then they're having to report to social workers, and there's, you know, it's like a whole, and then you're never out. You never get out.
Right. It's just a permanent vicious cycle. And, you know, I have a lot of criticism for, well, medicine and psychiatry these days, which is, you know, very much a corporatist and state-driven system that has a lot of problems. Not to say that there isn't good medicine, psychiatry, and good people within that those communities who do help people, but you're right, because a lot of times what happens in those situations, and I've seen it both personally with me, where, for instance, I had to take an alcohol class because I got a DWI many years ago, and the sort of social worker I dealt with, basically there's under the wrong circumstances in particular, the assumption will be that the causes of the problem are something else entirely from what is actually the case. And they'll pursue these sort of, red herrings or wild goose chases, if you will, while totally ignoring or not seeing the basic problem, which, like you said, in a lot of these cases is simply that they're hungry and they need to get back to a basic level. And the thing is I was also kind of saying before the break, you'd be surprised how even the lowest human, so to speak, has the ability to rise up and to improve themselves and to become a stable, functioning, contributing member to society if you just give them a little of the basics and not treat them as if they just need to be molded by the hands of the state through programs like this. So anyway, it's just it's very enlightening to talk to you guys, because a lot of people, I don't think, really appreciate what goes on in the welfare sphere or even in the broader charitable sphere at large. Like you were saying, it's even when you look at private charities, a lot of them are funded by government grants, and this creates perverse incentives in a very vicious, very uncollaborative atmosphere between them.
For social good too.
Yeah, for social good.
Well, and then a lot of people don't realize just sort of how broken a lot of the systems. So there's this story in Florida, and I'm gonna mess it up, so I'm gonna go ahead and say up front that I'm using the wrong terminology. But the story happened. I'm just not using the right things. But it was basically there was a program that this group wanted to help like the silver foxes, like the Florida silver fox, right? And then so that was what they were started for, and their organization was called something like Save the Silver Foxes. And then the grant changed to like they could get a grant to help all the foxes, so they got the grant to help all the foxes. So now they are still helping silver foxes, but they're helping other foxes too, and that's cool. Well, then the grant changed, and it's like, and it doesn't include foxes anymore. So now they're retargeting for that grant. They're called the Silver Fox Organization, but they actually don't help foxes anymore. And then
so weird.
That sort of stuff, that sort of product drift, that, you know, that happens in all organizations. And a huge one in the homeless society is, homeless ecosystem is that what we need is permanent shelter beds. Like that's what we need. We need people with permanent homes and mailing addresses. Because if you don't have a mailing address, like you can't get a job. Like, we need that. But what they've done is they've had this push for temporary shelter. So we've got this problem where they're cannibalizing permanent shelter beds and converting them into temporary shelter beds. So they're taking the problem that's actually the solution that's actually solving stuff, and then they're converting it into this inefficient thing because the grants are for temporary shelters.
I see what you're saying.
So it's so perverse. It's like, and it sucks, you know? And it's got to suck for your organization to wonder how it's going to fund itself. You know, I think maybe there is a benefit to being like us. We're just like, oh, I hope we can keep the lights on. And like, that's how we're basically always are.
Yeah.
And like, then depending on all of this money, because, we don't have any golden handcuffs at Sean's Outpost at all.
Right.
But yeah, it's really screwed up. It's a really inefficient way of dealing with stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, I can, not that I, really personally believe in government welfare because it's not actually charity and of course it creates these perverse incentives. I can understand desperate organizations though in a desperate mood turning to it, but like you said, they're golden handcuffs. It then binds them to doing certain things a certain way and ultimately ends up being probably the, careful what you wish for kind of thing in the end. And that's a really sad state of affairs.
And I mean, it's in no certain terms, it's really kind of like going into business with a mafia. I mean,
Well, it is. It's the same thing. It's the same. This is the biggest mafia there is. Yeah. And that's why we need alternatives to some of the models out there for charitable giving. And that is something that you guys have also been working on. That was a better segue. So what I'm talking about is Unsung at unsung.org. Is that right?
That's us.
Now tell us about that because I know it's more than just an organization. It's also an app.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's primarily an app. It's basically, we got all of this hard data in feeding 167,000 meals to the homeless at Sean's Outpost. And then it sort of opened our eyes to this wider problem that in America, there's $537 billion, like $500 billion a year in food waste.
It's more than Google's market cap, by the way. So throw away Google every year.
We throw away Google every year.
So build up Google and then trash it every year.
Burn it to the ground every year.
Insane.
And at the same time, we have 49 million Americans living in hunger, 3 million homeless, like 46 million working poor.
Wow, that's sad.
And $500 billion food.
That could eat. I mean, I haven't done the math in my head, but I imagine
it can feed them like 10 times.
Yeah, exactly.
So what Unsung does is really simple: is that we've created an app that makes it frictionless for a grocery store or a restaurant or catering service when they have excess food that they were going to get rid of. They just notify us on the app, and then anybody, can log in as a volunteer, similar to how an Uber driver or Lyft driver just goes on duty when they have time available. And then when food comes available at that time, it'll ping you. You can go pick that food up and take it to the homeless, or you can take it homeless if you know them or where they're at, or you take it homeless shelter, women's shelter, things like that. And that way, that food is actually getting utilized towards solving this issue of hunger and not just getting thrown in the trash.
Can the homeless themselves go to these restaurants and pick it up? Or, I mean, I can see issues with that where maybe the proprietors or customers might be uncomfortable or something, but is that also a possibility? Or
so currently it's not set up for that. Currently it's set up to have these intermediaries in there, but that's definitely something that we're looking into because it's a delicate situation because, I think that homeless should be able to go anywhere, but I also understand that if you're running like an upscale restaurant or something, and when you have homeless guys come in, maybe that's going to detract from your clients.
But we still want your food.
But we still want the food. Right. So like, I think that there's some, I think there's some middle ground in that stuff. And I think Unsung's doing a pretty good job of that. And then, sort of the two things that are really, revolutionary about what we're doing is one, every meal that's donated, like every one to donate, like to hand it off, you have to document it in the app. You have to take a picture of it when you do it. And that all comes up on a live feed. So there's literally a live feed that's a document of like every meal that's being fed.
Are you really contributing to people taking pictures of food again?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we are.
No, the whole, the whole Facebook thing. I'm just kidding.
For sure. No. I mean, we want people to be bragging about it.
But yeah, so if you think about it, like, like at Sean's Outpost, people were like, yeah, did you really feed all those meals? It was like, well, of course we did. But it's like, oh, well, with Unsung, this is where it was. It's taken right here. Here's the GPS location where it was dropped off. Like, so it's like really high level transparency. And then we've gamified it too. So people on our app can actually compete against each other to like be the dude delivering the most meals in their neighborhood or whatever.
So you can see who's the best feeder in Austin.
And anyone, you can look at any area and you can see the leaderboards for that area and you can tip people directly in Bitcoin. So instead of it being like a marketing campaign where you're just who's got the best commercial, you're actually looking at the results. You're actually saying, this guy actually fed the most meals here. I want to help that guy. And so you can tip people directly. So it's incentive based.
So you have like the option of fitting into a soup kitchen, or you can directly see, this guy fed 20 meals. Let me give him.
And it's gamified. Like you can earn badges, for participating on it. Like you earn a badge for.
It's the same way like Xbox Live with video games get you to go and assets of the.
The more you use it, you earn badges and rewards for it.
So like a hat trick 3 in a row, or like going on the night shift.
Instead of it being used in stupid gaming, like the crap that my kids play,
right?
Which they play mindlessly for hours and hours.
And like who
same
doesn't
thing,
want?
But you're helping people.
Who doesn't want an app with like you can show at the bar with someone saying, look how generous I am, look how charitable I am.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea.
Right, like gamified social good.
It's like you're at the bar and there's like a good looking chick next to you, and talk to her, and you just like
look at all these homeless people I fed.
Yeah, it's like
I open up Unsung. Well, look at this.
Unsung school.
I just randomly opened this, but I don't know if you saw. This is actually meals I gave to the homeless.
Right. See that?
You were going to revolutionize. Forget the homeless. Who cares? No, I'm just kidding. You were going to revolutionize dating in this country. Well, you're going to help a lot of men get dates.
I hope we revolutionize how charity is done, right? Because like that's scheduling's a huge problem. Like I can't always go at 5:00 to the soup kitchen on Thursday, right? But like I might have an hour or two after work that I'm willing to give, and if I can have control over when I get to participate, I'll probably participate more.
Right, giving people that flexibility, because I know in my personal life a big deterrent to doing certain things that either benefit myself or benefit others is the feeling that I don't have time. maybe it's only during certain hours that I can do certain things, but if you can do it on your own time, that's a big incentive
and
for people.
And it's like one of those things where you build the tools that you need. And at Sean's Outpost, this is what we learned. We needed more people, but we had scheduling problems. Every time we were doing it, we would have a problem scheduling. So that's
right. Awesome. Well, let's talk more about it with Jason King and Dean Maisley. Sean's Outpost and Unsung on the other side. All right, guys, welcome back to the second hour of the Crypto Show here on this lovely Sunday, March 20th, 2016, here on Logos Radio Network, brought to you, as always, by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. And we're speaking with our guests in studio, Jason King, founder of Sean's Outpost, a Bitcoin charity that has fed over 167,000 people, and also the founder of Satoshi Forest, a homeless sanctuary consisting of 9 acres in Pensacola, Florida. We're also talking with his collaborator on a new project, Dean Maisley. The new project is Unsung, actually, not Dean Maisley. Dean Maisley is the guy collaborating.
New project. I'm his new project.
Dean Maisley, his new project. Dean,
are you hungry too?
You look hungry. I hate skinny guys. Yeah. Always looking hungry. Always looking thin. I never look hungry because I'm a little overweight. But anyway,
because you always have a hamburger in your hands.
Oh my God! Last night I ate so many of those tacos. It was so stupid. Anyway, that's not really important. But I'm probably the cause of hunger in this country as I overeat. Anyway, let's Unsung. So it's an app allowing people to feed the homeless themselves. Well, and Dean, how did you get involved? How did you meet Jason King, and how did y'all just decide on this project?
Sure. Yeah. So actually, I got in touch with Jason King through another organization called the College Cryptocurrency Network. We actually recently rebranded to the Blockchain Education Network. But Jason's on the Big Ben. That's right.
Yeah, Blockchain Education Network.
Yeah. Ben. And then so he's on the board, and so he's been very influential for the organization. And so obviously we had contact through there, and Jason asked for some help on the board, to the organization saying, hey, anyone want to help work on Sean's Outpost with me, do some graphics. So I got involved with him, did some work there. And then he asked me to help him with his project. At the time was called Outpost Everywhere. And so I started working with him a little bit with that, and we started doing discussions. And then more recently, when the project started picking up more steam, I've been going down every weekend to Baltimore. I live in Newark, Delaware, so it's about an hour drive, not too bad. So I'll go down the weekends or when it's on vacation, and we'll knock a lot of stuff out. And that's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's being really modest. Dean's been really influential. I think he kicks butt. He's been a great co-founder.
Awesome. And so how long have you been working on the project?
The project's a little over a year old, like from concept. We rebranded to Unsung in August, like it was initially Outpost Everywhere. We were kind of making it a spin-off of Sean's Outpost. But Unsung is just a great name, and we were able to get the unsung.org domain name.
That's pretty incredible.
Oh, the story's amazing. Yeah, the story's actually really, really cool. So we're like Unsung would be a great name. We got that. So we actually got the domain name Be Unsung, and then I just was like, well, maybe I'll contact the guy who owns unsung.org, and maybe he'll sell it to me. And I used to sell domain names, so I kind of have a good idea of how valuable they are. And I was like,
right.
Maybe I can get this dude to sell it to me for $500, which would be that'd be really cheap for this domain name. And I called him up and I gave my pitch. It's like, hey, we're doing this thing. We're gonna have apps and be like Uber feeding homeless people. And he's like, look, man, I can sell this domain name for $20,000. And I was like, well, we're a nonprofit. We don't have $20,000. He's like, I know, but I like what you're doing, so I'm just gonna give it to you.
You're kidding.
Just straight up. He's like, I love this idea. It's a really good idea.
What a bro.
And so he literally just donated it. And I was just like, so our branding is
called me on the phone like, dude, we got
screaming. I was like, we got unsung.org. Our branding is just so great now because, unsung.org is easy to remember and it's a really good name.
No, that's an incredible name. That's why when you said unsung.org, I kept thinking to myself, how did they manage that?
Well, it's cool,
How did
right?
that
But
go?
so it's one of those things where, Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, talks about it's like when you have the right idea, it's obvious and apparent to everyone that you explain it to.
Yeah.
And that's really what we've gotten with this. Like when we explain how big the food waste is and how many people are hungry, people are like, why doesn't this already exist?
Yeah.
Like it just goes on like that. And it's like, that's what happened to Sean's Outpost is we got it. We would go to food banks and buy food because like that's where the cheapest place to buy food, right? A lot of people don't realize that food banks actually sell their food. I mean, really, really, really cheaply, like, 2 cents a pound, 16 cents a pound, like really, really cheap. But you do buy it. Then we would go in and we would buy 300, 400, 500 pounds worth of food to go out and feed the homeless. But at the same time, we were seeing them throw away like 5,000 pounds of food right next to the food we were buying.
Even the food banks?
Right, because the problem of food waste is so much larger than the problem of people being hungry. And it's crazy because there's 49 million people that are hungry.
Yeah.
And to think that, like food waste is significantly larger than that, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So we're in there spending, the little money that we have buying food and they're throwing away 10, 20 times more food than that in the dumpster right next to where we're buying the food.
Wow.
So it just became apparent, like, this is screwed up. Like, we should just be able to use that food. Like, why do we have to spend money on it?
But the thing is, you don't even need to look at statistics. If you've ever worked in grocery sales at a grocery store or in a restaurant. I worked in restaurants many years, and people just throw away so much food. You'll see people in a single shift, you'll see plate after plate after plate where like they've eaten like a third of their food and they just throw it away. Or my girlfriend works at a local grocery, and we are lucky that we get to take home a lot of free food that is maybe something's like slightly wrong with it or it's close to expiration.
It's ugly.
But it's ugly, but it's still good. And you just imagine like how much of that goes on and how much of that could just be if you just got the right organizations involved, like Sean's Outpost or Unsung.
Well, there's all this crazy stuff people don't realize is, so talking to a lot of local farmers is that they actually have to produce more food than they can sell, because like if you're selling like a farmer's market, right? Say you're selling like bundles of asparagus, right? You actually need to like produce like 20 or 30% more asparagus than you're going to sell, because if you get down to having just one bundle of asparagus, no one's going to buy the last bundle. They'll be like, oh, what's wrong with that one bundle?
That's true.
So you need to have like a background, like a backdrop of other asparagus.
It is weird how people think
it's true though, but that's
true.
so they know it. They're like, I have to have this basically my set dressing for asparagus, and like that's just so you just know 20 to 30% of all produce is going to be wasted.
It's decoration.
It's basically decoration.
They should just get fake apples and stuff and use that to.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's just psychology, and I guess it makes sense because you know what? When I think about it, I do the same thing when I go to the store.
Of course, we all do. Not saying I wouldn't either, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, my roommate worked at Taco Bell, and he used to intentionally break the taco shells so he could take them home.
Darn!
We would have free nachos.
I like how it's
broken.
I like how it's always like stone food with you. It's never anything but that. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, it's such a big waste, and there's so much. A lot of it is not just how can we eventually maybe get certain businesses to improve their efficiency with their food, but it's also there's a lot of opportunity, because at the end of the day, a lot of that waste is not necessarily people just being careless with the food. A lot of it is, like you said, they have to play to psychology, or they know that some of the stock might get damaged or look less appealing, so it won't sell, but it's still consumable, and so that's stuff that can go for charities like yours. Well, and Dean, one thing I want you to do, if you don't mind, too.
Sure.
We already had a description of Unsung, the app, but I always do this with people who have apps. Is you give us a description, but I also want you to give us a secondary walkthrough of, as if you had the phone in front of you. Tell me, like, to go through and just kind of explain how you would do it, just so people know how easy it is. Oh, and
absolutely.
And actually, real quick, the app is already out, by the way.
Yeah. So we're based out of Baltimore, and so we're in a closed beta in the Baltimore DC area. We'll be rolling out to Austin, Miami, San Francisco in the next couple of months. Those will be on our next testing cities. Yep.
And how did y'all determine those cities? Were they?
It's really in all of this, and so if you're interested in Unsung in your area, reach out.
Yeah,
cool.
Reach out. And so because we don't want to go into a place where we're going to be fighting uphill to get traction, right? So those are the cities where people are like, we need this, we need that. Come here, look, let's do this. We got people, and like so that's really what determines it. Is like people that are willing to help.
All right. Well,
so if you want this in your, if you want this in Poughkeepsie, like let us know. Like,
well, what do we need to do from right here to help get it going?
Well, anyone in Austin that's that's interested in it, just reach out. Just on unsung.org. Or I'm Jason at unsung.org. That's Dean at unsung.org. Or
let us know. We'll love to get
let us know.
Well, maybe we can help get this started here locally, the Crypto Show, and be some of the first people to actually use it, post pictures of it, and get it going.
Well, like I'll tell you, because like
I highly doubt that Chris will have any leftover food to get.
Hopefully.
Okay, you guys know the homeless problem here is insane, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy. We gave out 132 or 137.
Yeah.
We gave out like 130 plus meals today in like 12 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was gone.
Yeah.
Like we literally just walked down 7th Street and it was just gone.
Yeah, and 7th Street is where all the
it was. I mean, it was just
shelters.
And we got everyone that we sort of in that area, but it was we were purposely not going to another block because we knew that we were going to run out of food if we went over there, and it was just going to be free for all. Yeah. It was nuts. So I mean, like it's needed. Badly. And I mean, you're talking about like people that, and I had this experience in Miami too when we demoed it at the Miami Bitcoin conference. Our lead dev, Stephen Dack, had never fed homeless people before. So he went out with me, we did it in Miami, and he's like, well, are these guys really going to want this food? And like, he was like, people were taking the food and just ripping it open. You could just see that they hadn't eaten it in so long.
Wow.
And they're just getting into it.
I mean, I had the same reaction when we started doing it in Baltimore. I had this little, what's going to happen? Good. And we're going around New Year's handing out like really, really good like catering food. And just like people when they open their box, like the faces is what make you go, all right, let's do some more. Let's like keep doing this.
That's what's really cool. It's self-reinforcing when you see the satisfaction on people's faces of getting the food. It gives you that satisfaction, motivation.
And people say stupid stuff. Like people say like that's like selfish. You're just doing that for yourself. It's like, look, are you doing the right thing? Are you doing? Well, who cares why? I mean, like do the people need to get fed? Are you feeding them? Okay, good.
Right, and that gets into like that's like a whole philosophical finer point of is there really altruism versus not?
I don't care.
Who cares? Yeah, I don't care. It really doesn't matter.
What is real is there are 49 million people that are hungry,
right?
And there's a bunch of wasted food. So if those people aren't hungry anymore, I'm cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is the world a better place?
If you post on Instagram that you're feeding people and you think that's like just being like selfish, who cares?
If you're a college student and you put that on your college application or whatever, is like this is your social. That's fine. That's great.
And that's kind of the beauty of one, capitalism, and two, just human nature, where even the sort of quote unquote darker side of human nature, whether that's like pride or ego,
right, like work with it.
Yeah, work with it. It can be utilized and sublimated to do things that benefit people.
It's a natural incentive.
Yeah. So if you're just doing it because you want to look good and get all the girls, or prove to your neighbors that you're better than them, right? And you feed the homeless, and that's what you do.
Like, what's the end goal? Do it. Homeless will get fed. Yes. Well, then hey, like whatever you need to do to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the beauty of it. Well, we're coming to break. As I mentioned, when we come back, I was leaving everybody in suspense.
We'll run through the app.
I want D Mazy to run us through the app. Boom, boom. The app. I was going to find something that rhymed with it, but no, that didn't really work.
Bad transition, good transition. You'll get the pun next time.
Some days, I'm on with segues or puns and jokes. Most of the days, though, not so much. But
we'll get a few more.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the crypto show. It's real. We keep it real here, guys. All right, we're coming to break with Jason King and Dean Mazy of Unsung and Sean's Outpost. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
Oh, for the longest time. Oh, for the longest. If you said that Bitcoin was my line, I would tell you.
Show enough. Show you right.
What else can I do? I'm so inspired by you, and I'm just holding for the longest time. Once I knew my stocks and bonds were gone.
Hello. Is this thing on? Okay,
we're back. now I can kind of hear it. That, by the way, I'm sure our listeners can hear. That intro music is Zhao Tong, ZHOUTONGED, Zhaotong.com, ZHOU-TONGED.com. The ED is silent. It's French. But he is an awesome artist.
He's got some really dope Bitcoin stuff.
It's really good stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
His
started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now Bitcoin's here. I can't say that.
He's so good.
Oh yeah, it's great.
He's so good at parodies, like not just the lyrics, which are awesome and like entertaining, informative, funny. But
especially his most recent song. When we're kind of in that.
Well, he drops the crypto show.
Little
shout out.
I mean, I was at South by South. I mean, we were here to demo Unsung, but also I was an official artist and I was here rapping about Bitcoin. Literally.
Was that for real?
With YT Cracker.
That's awesome.
Yeah, YT Cracker.
I didn't know you were a rapper.
Yeah. Rappers like to rock chains. I rock blockchains, knock them out the box, out my Gox main. Key ring for the wall of data. I gotta pray that my ASIC incinerator can blow the mind like a creeper one time on my circuits divine. A fine way to keep the power bill in check. My equipment is starting to sweat from the heat. Crypto anarchy becoming a threat. So elite. Rappers like to rock pools. I got pools you can't swim in, but I'm collecting the spice like a Freeman, so you fools can step in and get to choosing your weapon because the deafening roar of indefinite war is epic. I found a new way to debit the people. I generate an address and I generate a sequel. I get medieval when I'm taking payments because I don't want the NSA stuck up in my anus. Yeah. I'm a Bitcoin bearer. And I'm scaring the status quo. Got that crypto dough and that DApp file to blow. Got that algo rhythm. Go get them until prism send us all to prison. And that's the nerdy living.
Woo! That was really good. That was awesome.
I need to hook him up with Nima.
And that was Jeff Berwick, the second best white Canadian rapper. No, that was Jason King doing a rap there. And you wrote that?
No, that's White Tea Cracker, Bryce Case, Bitcoin Baron, and
okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
that was still really good, man.
Thanks, man.
We should just have
did it at Voodoo Donuts. We were the closing act on Friday.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. I was just not that you were the closing act, but just being at Voodoo Donuts because I like donuts.
Those donuts are crazy, man. I mean,
I've heard about them. I've never actually had them. Are they pretty?
You've never been in there?
No,
dude. That's like the mecca of donuts, man.
Really?
Yeah, I've been to the one in Portland, which is like where it's from.
Oh, it's like a chain?
Well, not really. It's
off
like
the chain.
Yeah, I think maybe there's only two.
It's only available in weird cities,
right? But those donuts, I mean, it's crazy. It'll be like a donut and it'll be like covered in cream and then Captain Crunch and some Oreo sprinkle. I mean, it's nuts.
All right, guys,
like,
I gotta go. Danny, take over. I gotta run downtown to that Voodoo Donuts.
It's almost too much.
It is crazy.
I know. Tell me about it. God, I love donuts. That's how I got fat. Well, that's really cool. And
it's because you used to be a cop.
Shh! Don't tell everyone I'm an infiltrator. No. Well, and do you have any albums or anything? Do you do? No, or you just kind of like?
No, I'm not a rapper. I play one on TV.
That's good enough. Same thing in my eyes. Well, let's switch gears from rap to app. Oh, there it was.
There we go. You like that? You like that?
Thank you.
Softball.
Don't do it like that. Because when you make that motion, I'm not sure what you're doing.
Oh man, perfect.
If only you could see in studio. No, but well, let's go ahead, Dean.
Let's jump into the app.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing: when you take us
the app,
but when you take us through the app, it has to be a rap and it has to rhyme.
Oh,
and if you fail,
oh my goodness, man, you're setting me up to fail. I'm not
doing it. If you fail, we pants you.
Right?
Yeah. It has to be in German, has to rhyme, has to rap. Go.
Okay, all right. Das uns anfangen. All right, no, for real. Okay, so you have your app on your desktop, and there's like a blue square with this white.
It's not on your desktop.
On your desktop or your phone, whatever, your wall screen.
Old school.
So you open it up and you immediately see like almost like an Instagram feed of meals. You see like all this food and you can see exactly like who is donating food. And if you click the picture, it'll actually flip over and you can see where it was donated.
Cool.
So like right now, the live feed, if you go to api.unsong.org and then you click the live feed, you can click that and actually see our prototype. It's a little janky.
Yeah, it is.
It's really janky. I know Jason's going to get mad at me. Yeah, Jason's going to get mad for saying that.
Yeah, that works.
But anyways, so you see that and there's actually a little icon showing like the person who fed it and how many meals they fed in total. And so that you can immediately see your community what's going on.
So it counts, by the way, the number of meals per person fed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, you have to, man. Yeah, it's a reputation.
Does it have a rating system for like the best, people that you can trust to donate food that won't be tainted or?
Well, right. I mean,
well, we don't. So, I mean, that's something that would come with data. We don't have. We're only in one market, and we've only got a limited number of people so far. So,
right.
Yeah, but that's definitely something that will come for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway, so let's say if you're a person who wants to give some food, either a restaurant or maybe you're a private household and you have some extra things after the family dinner, right? So in the very middle of the app, there's actually a little camera button, and it'll ask you.
No, you want to click the fork and spoon.
The fork and spoon.
Yeah. The camera button is feeding it out.
I see. Yeah. My bad. Oh my goodness, starting messing up. Anyways, click I have food to give with the fork and knife, and you take a picture of the food you have. You say how many you have. You can say if it's perishable or not, and then when you take a picture of it and you can send it out onto the network, and instantly it'll be available for all the drivers who want to actually deliver food, and they can see what's going on.
And I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna add something we haven't talked about yet. But so Unsung is actually a 501c3 corporate organization, so we're actually tax deductible. So literally, we can calculate the retail value of the food that was donated. So if you're a small business or whatever, you can actually get a tax deduction,
and you get the full retail value.
Well, you get half of the retail value. So that's how it works. But here's the deal, right? Is that if this is food that you're going to throw away, well, you're going to have to pay someone to cart that away. Like that's going to take up space in it. So it's a liability, right? And we can turn that liability into an asset for you. And then people get fed. So like it's like win-win.
And then your food's all over the app saying this person's donating.
And then you can be like, and then you have a picture stream of the food that you donated and like that going to help your community. So
exactly where it's going.
Yeah, it's just as good as it can possibly be.
So actually to see exactly where it's going. So that's where I messed up. There's the camera button and you do that when you're actually feeding people. And so it's really simple. You just click the camera and then there's a little camera icon, click it open. You take a picture, you can add a note, and you just click upload.
And it's going to geotag where that picture was taken, and that's going to end up in the live feed with a picture of the food being handed out, and then you touch the picture, and it's going to flip over and show you the map of where the food was donated.
That's really awesome.
And that goes right back to the live feed that we talked about in the beginning.
And so remind me, though, so like, if I'm a restaurant owner, I can, or maybe I'm just a patron at the restaurant, I order some food, or I just set some food aside, and then someone else offers to pick it up and then bring it to a homeless person. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So the person who's like giving the food doesn't have to worry about the delivery.
So if you want to be in driver mode, you'd have the app, and then you would just go in and you would just go on duty. You just push the button and go on duty. And then if you have that and you're in the vicinity of food that becomes available, you get a ping notification that food comes available.
Cool.
So like you get, just exactly like an Uber driver gets a notification. There's a driver in their area. I mean, there's a rider that wants
So basically, something close by, suddenly there's food available.
Yep, here you go.
You're like, hey, you know
Text
what?
message comes in.
2 blocks away. Let me go grab it.
There's 2 hamburgers over there. Let me go grab that.
Yep. Give it a go.
Yep. So is there also a way, and I think I kind of touched upon this earlier, but is there also a way to alert people to where there might be needy homeless in the area? Or that's obviously a little more difficult.
So here's what we've got. We think it's a fairly elegant solution for it. So there's two things. So one, if you're an organization that wants to continuously have this kind of stuff, you can come in and say, hey, we take this kind of food. And then so you're just on a list of that. But here, the really cool crap we can do using data analytics is that because we're geotagging where all the food's being donated, right? We can then start heat mapping that. And then, like, over time, as that happens, we can show you a heat map of the areas of the city.
So, like, dark red is like where's the high concentration. That's where the
high concentration level is. Yeah, exactly.
For a second, when you said heat map, I was thinking like infrared. Like, we can like look through walls and find.
Yes, we can look through walls and we can see homeless people hiding. Man, do you know if that technology existed, the cops would be all over that.
I know, right?
We can see the homeless people through walls.
Oh my god, we are homeless enemies,
dude. We should stop this. We should just develop that technology and just retire.
No, we just homeless tracking.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they're our next donors. This is perfect. Okay.
I think I've opened a Pandora's box.
This is a good
here.
brainstorm, guys. I appreciate this.
No, but that's really cool. That's a brilliant idea, the heat map, because everything follows patterns. Just like with the fact that you went down to 7th Street here, that is a big congregation for homeless people, in part because it's downtown, so there's a lot of bus access to other parts of the city, but then there's also a lot of homeless shelters in the area
down there.
So you're definitely going to have parts of the city where there's going to be congregations of homeless people.
Right.
So
how do the homeless who don't have smartphones?
Oh, they don't even really need a smartphone for them to actually get the food. I mean, for the most part, it's the drivers and the people giving the food who need to have that information network to exchange that service.
Yeah, and that's definitely like that's a feature set that's on that's down the road. Is it?
Right.
It would be very, very cool to be able to be like, hey, I'm homeless and I need food.
It would be kind of neat if you had like where these hot spots are, maybe a kiosk where they could go and look and.
So a lot of people don't realize this, but most homeless people actually have a phone.
But they have a phone.
Well, and like they call them Obama phones. Is the government's actually giving all the homeless people phones? Well, because it's a tracking device. I mean, like I hate to break it to you, but that's what it is. It's like I can totally track everybody because I gave you a phone.
Yeah.
And so they have it.
There's a spooky new search engine on the internet, and you've probably already been caught in its web. You'd be amazed what it knows and how it gets its information. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll tell you more in just a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This public service announcement is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Spokeo.com boasts that it's not your grandma's white pages. How true. Spokeo is a creepy website that specializes in digging up personal information about people and their families. It goes beyond public source information like tax records and delves into the deep internet to dig up gems like the names of your children, your age, your home value, your income, hobbies, and even photographs. Then it posts all this information on its website, making it available to every Tom, Dick, and Harry without your knowledge or consent. I highly recommend searching for your own name at Spokeo.com and following the procedure for removing your listing. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
Trails.
Looking for some truth? You found it. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
I've been walking a tightrope between fact and fiction. Been wrestling with demons in small bottle prisons. Been talking to sinners who claim to be Christian. Been shouting at leaders who claim to be listening. And the pendulum swings from the left to the right. Its momentum increases the need for the fight. Like a moment of blindness and a lifetime of sight. And I am caught somewhere in the middle. Of his people, saw a camel pass through the eye of a needle, saw a group of old men whose money was evil, saw a cross breaking free from the cage of steeple, saw beggars and cripples dying in squalor, a son whose sins had exceeded his father.
All right, welcome back to the second to last segment here on the Crypto Show on this lovely Sunday, March 20th, 2016. And we're talking with Jason King, founder of Sean's Outpost, a Bitcoin charity that has fed over 160,000 people and currently has a sanctuary under siege by the state, 9 acres of land for the homeless people that they are very much, I'm trying to think of the word I want to use, but very forcefully defending against the state and its attacks over and over again.
Vehemently.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. I need to keep my dictionary and thesaurus around. We're also talking to them about Unsung, their new app for feeding the homeless. And I think this is brilliant. As Danny mentioned earlier, it's like an Uber for feeding the homeless.
That's exactly it.
And it's
really funny. Like, we have this really cool explainer animation video on unsaid.org, and in it, Dean's like, it's like
feeding people. Like, it's like Uber for feeding people.
And I'm like, you can't say Uber.
But it's German.
Uber.
It's just a.
And we already know what happens in Austin with the city council and Uber. So we'll be ready when you bring the app here to take it to the streets and fill out the.
We're already accepting funds for the campaign to defend it from the city council.
Yeah. Well, we've already jokingly started talking about how to build it on Ethereum contracts.
Yeah, I'm literally unstoppable.
Yeah, it's like, sorry guys, it's going to be here.
So if they come at us, we'll innovate.
Well, but I mean, that too. But like, do you see any it's one thing with a physical location of 9 acres Satoshi Forest,
right?
It's another thing again with basically a more physical.
Well, okay. I mean, so real talk in Texas, like doing this in Dallas is illegal. Feeding homeless people on the street is illegal. That is a crime.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking. Mm-hmm. If you have leftovers from dinner and you walk outside and you see a homeless dude and you hand him that food, you are actually committing a crime. That's a fact.
So you're not even transacting. You're just giving someone something
That's
who needs something to survive.
They have made it a public nuisance to feed homeless people, like without a permit.
As if they're like birds, and you're like, don't feed the birds. Like,
or even worse, treat them like pets.
So it's like that in Orlando, Florida too, right?
Yeah.
In Orlando,
there's signs.
Yeah, they arrested a ton of people for doing it. But in Orlando, there's literally signs like don't feed the dogs, don't feed the animals. It's like don't feed the homeless people.
It's so ridiculous.
What's the deal in Florida? Why do panhandlers have to wear safety vests in Florida? What the heck is this?
I've never seen that.
No.
I mean, I'm sure it happens. I haven't seen. I mean, that sounds like a stupid state answer to something.
In 2012, I went for the Ron Paul thing, and I noticed all the guys were wearing like safety vests standing on the corner.
Probably what happened there is like in Pensacola, like panhandling became illegal, but they couldn't block out. They tried to make panhandling illegal, but it became a First Amendment thing, so they couldn't go at it that way. So they had to make it a street safety issue. And so it's like it's legal to panhandle, but it's illegal for you to step into the egress of the road to collect the money, right? So you can stand there and ask for money all you want, but if you actually go get the money, now it's a crime.
So basically, people would have to step out of their vehicle, but they can't do that either because then that would be violating the same thing.
Dude, they've literally made it where they've made it more demeaning, where people have to like ball their money up and throw it at the dude.
Oh my God, you're right.
Here's the money, you stinky homeless. Like, it's so nasty.
They've taken they've taken demeaning people to an art level. It's a whole new level of amazing. Like, how can we be creative about how to dehumanize people?
It's like some city council member who's just like driving in his car all grumpy at some panhandler asking for money. He's like, I'm going to get rid of those guys. Like,
well, the irony is that city council member is, he's worse than the homeless person. Not that the homeless person's bad, but he is a parasite living off of tax money versus the homeless guy who's living off of the voluntary charity of other people.
That's true.
So screw those busybody, meddling, city council people and the cops too. Not to get off on a tangent, but I always say this. I'm not saying that most of the cops out there aren't in their heart of hearts, well-meaning people. But
here's the solution for that.
So here's the deal, right? So legitimately, Sean's Outpost, first group in the world to do that exact thing, have homeless people with QR codes for that crap. But I'm telling you, it's terrible. If you're driving and you're trying to scan a QR code out the window, that's a dangerous situation right there.
Yeah.
So we need an FC or something. There's got to be a way to do it, but it's not QR codes.
Yeah. Well, you guys will figure it out. I'm sure you come up with a school app.
Yeah.
But but just to finish that thought, it's like you have to be to enforce a law like that, like to be a cop who actually tickets people or whatever for feeding the homeless. I mean, that's a really immoral act. You gotta second guess your conscience.
Man, in Pensacola, we had municipal officers that were like, they had a blanket ban where it was legal to sleep outside, but it was legal to sleep outside with a blanket. No joke, not a joke. And they were literally sending cops out to steal blankets from homeless people, right? And then
it's like a cartoon.
And then we had the situation where they were only taking the blankets from black homeless people.
No way.
Yeah, no, straight up. Just was you're okay. You. Yeah, it was that bad.
It's like, how do you go home at night to your like wife and kids?
Then we've seen sheriffs like that have gone out and they take razor blades to tents. Like they just go out and just cut up a dude's like.
Oh, I heard about
shelter.
that. Yeah, I think they've done that here
in San Francisco. Like 2 weeks ago, they took fire hoses to a homeless encampment. They literally just blasted them off the street with fire hoses.
What?
Yeah, in a progressive city like San Francisco.
Air quotes.
Yeah.
So progressive, it wants to eliminate human beings.
But they don't know how to deal with the problem.
But it's super simple. Is that homeless people don't pay taxes? That's it. Homeless people, like if you're super poor, you can't contribute. That's it. You have zero value to that mechanism. They literally can't register you as value in the system because you're not contributing. So you have zero value.
And you're probably not voting either. So you have, again, zero value.
Right.
And that's a really good point because people sort of fail to understand what motivates a lot of these people in government, I guess especially at the legislative level or at least at the city council level where they create code. I mean, legislative same, I guess. It's, that's how they think of you. If you aren't contributing somehow to their budget or to their reason for existence, their bottom line in whatever capacity they fill as a government official, then you're not just worthless to them, you're an obstacle potentially in their way. So that's really sad. And that's why we need organizations like Sean's Outpost. That's why we need apps like Unsung to just ignore the government as much as we can and get around it. And hopefully, and that's the thing, just like with Uber, even though the city council here and elsewhere has tried to meddle with Uber and Lyft, it's really difficult to do that.
Look at the outcry, Chris, though.
And
can you imagine what happens if they start arresting people for feeding people? Like, that would be amazing. PR,
right now, if you are a liberty activist and you care about that sort of stuff and telling people like how bad the government is and pointing out the fallacies in the government,
go feed people.
There is nothing more powerful that you can do than support private charities that do the things that the government says that they do.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
agorism. We talk about it all the time.
More powerful than that.
Yeah,
it's not.
Just take this whole interview as an example.
You don't have to support us. Go start your own thing. Find there's other great private charities. Go support that stuff.
Yeah,
and like that's really, really powerful because it's indisputable. Like the government they can't come up with a good thing. They have to start making up all of these charges and stuff because like there's
it's almost like going Gandhi, like the nonviolent, like
civil disobedience. Because especially at a certain critical mass, they can't enforce it beyond a certain point. They can't ticket everybody or arrest everybody or whatever. And again, with the peer-to-peer technology, it makes it even more difficult because they can't.
It's impossible. Yeah,
it's not like there's a centralized location. Okay, boys, let's raid raid John's Outpost Austin and shut down the operation.
Exactly.
No.
They're going to have to go to each individual person while they're feeding someone and say, hey, you're not allowed to do that. And then that person's going to be like, what are you talking about? And that's going to drive a lot more attention towards like the actual infrastructural issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, law issues.
No, absolutely. Well, we're coming to break, and we've got one more segment left in the show. It's been a great show. These guys are awesome.
Thanks, man.
They're not just great to talk to, but I mean, what an excellent thing they're doing for the homeless and the hungry all throughout the country. And again, it's limited for the time being to only a handful of cities, but you can bring it to your city. All you have to do is contact them, take a little action, be dedicated, and you can bring it to Austin. You can bring it to Poughkeepsie. You can bring it to X, Y, and Z America. So keep that in mind and get out there. Like they said, while there are other things that are important, like petitioning to stop the local city council from meddling with Uber and Lyft, more importantly and more easily, you can get out and take action yourself. Feed the homeless, ignore the government, and make the world a better place. So we'll be right back. Am I right?
Perfect, man.
Jason King and Dean Maisley will be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the final segment of the Crypto Show. If all goes well and I don't unplug everything. There we go. That's working better. We are speaking with our guest, Jason King, Harry Potter nerd extraordinaire.
That is accurate.
And we'll forgive him for that. No, I'm just kidding. Have you seen, I'm sure you've seen all the movies, you read all the books.
Hey, Dean and I, actually, the first project that Dean and I ever really worked on together and it's still live, PalinVoldemort.com. We made a fake,
is that like a campaign?
Yeah, we made a fake presidential campaign for the Palin Voldemort ticket. Why settle for the lesser of two evils?
We have promotional videos.
And literally, and we got in U.S. News and World Report, Wall Street, Washington Post, all reported on it. Like mad traffic. We sold a bunch of T-shirts. Like that was the first thing.
You got to keep the lights on somehow when you're feeding people, right?
PalinVoldemort.com. And then Dean made this amazing promotional video, which is like literally taking real footage from a Sarah Palin rally and then just cutting it, like to the snippets of the people saying, and then like throwing Voldemort stuff. Oh, it's so
no way. Awesome.
There's no other way to describe it.
So fun.
I'm gonna have to check this out.
PalinVoldemort.com.
You know what y'all should do is like for the Unsung app, you should have like a contest or something for people to take pictures with the food and themselves dressed up as Sarah Palin or Voldemort. But make it where only women can dress up as Voldemort and men have to dress up as Palin.
Two birds, one stone.
Exactly. That's going to be wildly successful. I'll let you take credit for it.
Cross-dressing Voldemort.
Okay. Can you believe that's Ralph Fiennes?
Ray Fiennes.
Wait, and I forget. Is Ralph Fiennes his brother? Or do I just mispronounce
it's Ray Fiennes and then Joseph Fiennes is his brother.
Why do I always want to say Ralph? I guess I hear it Ralph sometimes.
No, it looks like it's Ralph, but it's Rafe. Like it's.
Oh, that's what it is. Thank you.
It looks like it's like your brain. You know that thing where if the letters are mixed up, you can still read the word. It looks like it's Ralph, but it's Rafe.
I see. Yeah. Thank you. That's like a long-standing mystery that just got cleared up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason King.
But he does have a brother that's an actor, Joseph Fiennes. If you've ever seen Shakespeare in Love.
Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah, the main dude there, that's Ray Fiennes' brother.
That's right. That was a really good
That's a great movie. That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, fantastic.
Really, really good
That's the movie that inspired Sean's Outpost. No, well, by the way, what did I think you told us this last time you were with us?
Yeah.
What did and why is it
really
Sean's
crappy.
Outpost?
So my best friend Sean Dugas was murdered in 2012.
Man.
And sort of wrapping it back around is that he was killed by two people he thought were his friends that bashed in the back of his head with a claw hammer.
Oh my God!
It's really, really tragic. Just mentally destroyed me. But here, so in that's really terrible. We can all agree that's a heinous thing, right? So those brothers, they caught them and they got 25 and 15 years respectively. Each one did it because he actually did it. The other one helped and he got 15. So they got 25 and 15 years for murdering my best friend with a hammer. Ross Ulbricht, he got 2 life sentences.
Not just 1, 2.
Totally makes sense, right? That's like,
right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. But yeah, Sean was a great dude, and he was just
reward points.
He was an amazing guy, and he really liked the homeless. I really didn't have a lot to do with him, but he would make me have conversations with him, be like, this dude's so cool, and I'd be like, that's a homeless dude, and he's like, yeah, but he's awesome. And so, we started feeding him in his honor.
Wow. So kind of if it weren't for him, you might not have had this sort of awareness for the homeless or sort of deeper concern that you developed
for sure
if it weren't for him.
Yeah, it's exclusively true.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that is a very tragic story, but at least as happens in life on occasion, tragedies sometimes have their silver linings.
Yeah,
and one of those is Sean's Outpost.
Yeah, it's cool,
and that's pretty awesome.
And his dad's been out to Stoshi Forest, and like it's like you can see that it's like a cathartic thing
for him. I can imagine. Yeah.
In the intro, when we first started off the show, you made a Forrest Gump reference, but I don't even think you realized the significance.
Wait, why? Because he, I can't remember.
Oh, I did in 2014 when we met in the first Texas Bitcoin conference. I did Bitcoin Across America, where I actually physically ran.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember that now. Okay, yeah.
I knew you didn't know what you were saying.
Well, it's funny though, because like I didn't, which is funny, but I think on some level I might have, because like that happens to me all the time unconsciously. Like some little part of my brain in the background is like remembering that and then spitting that out.
Pretty much.
All of it. I know. A little part of my brain that's functioning for everything. Well,
in the license plate, what was the license plate on? Wasn't it on the RV Run Forest Run? Or
yeah, it was. It was on the front. So
Is that where
Run? That's amazing.
Yeah. Is that where Satoshi Forest comes from? It's 2 R's instead of 1.
But I'm pumped.
Thank you very much.
Well, we'll be here all weekend. Take the waitress.
Yes. Well, in the last 7 minutes, I want to switch gears slightly. I want to just ask you about your stay in Austin, which y'all did for South by, and that's always fun stuff. I know you said you showcased.
We were here to showcase Unsung. We got just amazing feedback. I mean, everybody just digs it. It's great. It's really cool because we love it. But you always, you think you're doing cool stuff. Maybe other people don't get it. It's been really cool. Kind of universally, people seem
it's
to get
super nice to get the validation from outside parties that you're not crazy.
Right. Yeah, it really is.
It's a crazy goal.
You never know. Right?
You're just shooting your own horn. Right.
Yeah, but people are like, this is dope.
Right.
And so it's really cool too, because like, I could talk about how organizations compete against each other, right? But like Unsung's a great way to showcase your organization. If you're already doing this work, do it on the Unsung app. Make your username, Loaves and Fishes, and then you can document everything, and then so you have this like social media transparency of all the work that you're doing, and you can showcase the stuff that you're doing. So it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So like,
and it's also showcasing. You're showcasing Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, we don't set up those tick marks where people get aggressive because they think that we're competing. They're like, oh, you're helping, and that's so it's great.
So people the people that you talk to that do like the app, and so are they curious about? I mean, but that don't know anything about crypto. What's their opinion about?
We don't need to dive into crypto with people who don't know about it.
They just get like.
I know, but does it ever bring up questions?
For sure. I mean, some people might ask where it comes into play.
Yeah, or are you going to do PayPal integration or whatever? That kind of stuff. But we know PayPal integration for micropayments is not really feasible. It's not really.
And also, it's like by using Bitcoin, we can start off the ground much quicker just because we don't have to set up accounts or set up some kind of payment channel. We literally say you put your address and then that can be the direct channel. We don't have to set up anything in the app. So ideally in the future, we obviously want to incorporate as many payment methods to make it as accessible as possible. But just Bitcoin lets us get the MVP out there.
Well, and since in a way this almost has a sort of franchise model where, here in Austin, we can contact you guys to bring it to Austin and help promote it. If we want to, we can try to promote it through the lens of Bitcoin. We can promote it while promoting Bitcoin. If all we have to do is just incorporate it and make that effort.
When will Hashcoin be integrated?
What is Hashcoin?
It's a long-standing joke.
Inside joke here. It's
from the Trailer Park Boys.
He used to constantly make references to Trailer Park Boys. I've never seen it. So
I've never seen it.
You're not missing.
I love Trailer Park Boys. It's a great show.
Then you know about Hashcoin.
You're not missing anything. Well, are y'all familiar with Sasha Day Game?
What was that?
Sasha Day Game.
No.
Well, so we were just at the in Acapulco, second annual conference in Acapulco.
Yeah, Jeff Berwick.
Yeah, with Jeff Berwick. And Sasha Degame was one of the attendees and I think speakers, and he actually interviewed us briefly while there. He is basically a pickup artist, but he's like one of the cool pickup artists. Like it's not just about like getting women to sleep around. It's like building confidence in men or whatever. And I think you should go on his show and show how this is not just a way to feed the homeless, but as I mentioned earlier, it's a way to promote the dating lives for men.
I love how like you have found like a sleazy way. Like literally, I'm sitting here, I'm like this is just above board. It's win. You're like, but you could make it sleazy.
But remember, like you said, whatever the motivation is, as long as the homeless get fed.
Actually, he contacted me today, and he'll be here next month.
I heard Acapulco was great. Like one of my best friends, Dimitri from Mycelium.
Oh yeah.
Dimitri. You know Dimitri? Yeah. Dimitri's bomb.
We interviewed him at the conference.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Oh, he's great.
Mycelium's awesome.
I use Mycelium for all. I hold like $60 in US dollars. Everything else is in Bitcoin. Mycelium is my gateway through all my ledgers and stuff.
These speakers are not getting paid by Mycelium. No, Dimitri's one of my favorite guests / just people. He's so funny.
You might not know him as Dimitri. It's Raza.
Yeah, usually. Well, actually, I know him more as that.
Rasa.
Yeah,
he
Rasa.
will correct me. I'll say Raza, and he's like, it's Rasa.
Rasa. So that's how, actually, because he said Dimitri while we were there. I was like, who? And he was like, Rasa. I was like, oh yeah. But I actually, the final flight to Acapulco that I had like 3 flights, or 3 layovers or whatever, all alone. And then the last leg, he was right in front of me. So we like chatted the whole time, and it was really exciting. But then after that excitement died down, as soon as I got off the plane, I lost my passport. But,
man.
I had to smuggle him. I had to smuggle him back into the U.S. because I drove down there, so he had to ride back with me.
You like put blankets over him and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and luckily we didn't have what we thought about it. It probably would have worked. No, but long story short, yeah, we drove 24 hours from Acapulco, which I didn't realize till we left. It was actually at the southern tip of Mexico. I always thought it was like halfway up the coast.
Sure.
But
it's all
no,
the way
it's
down there, man.
all the way down. And it was a harrowing story. We got shaken down by the military for money.
We got extorted and everything.
How much?
500 pesos. $30.
It's like $30.
We got like so extorted.
But it's universal. It's like, it's just part of doing it. It's just part of hanging out.
That was cheaper. That's cheaper than a parking ticket.
For sure, yeah.
And I got to pay on the spot.
Well, yeah, like in Baltimore, I don't pay for parking ticket. I don't pay for street parking because like it would be like $200 a month to pay for street parking like, by my apartment. So I just take the hit on the parking tickets, and like for 4 months I've gotten like $60 worth of tickets. So it's totally a much better plan.
So you just play the odds game because like they only have so many people to enforce it, like roaming around. That's a good point.
Baltimore's got quite a bit of problems other than parking. So.
Well, I've seen The Wire. Well, guys, we've got a minute left. Jason King, Dean Maisley, Sean's Outpost, and Unsung.
Unsung.org.
Unsung.org.
Yeah.
Get the app and bring it to your city. Any parting thoughts for us, guys?
Thanks for having us. And Austin is great, man. We just had a great time.
This is
here.
my first time in Texas.
He's never been in Texas.
This is incredible.
Yeah,
it's been so awesome.
Austin's been so
You guys should move down here. It's like the new mecca for libertarian and
my brother's living down here this summer, so I'm going to be visiting him that.
Awesome.
Yeah, his brother's at Factum.
Yeah, my brother's working at Factum.
Oh, you mean with that guy? That guy over there?
Oh, of course.
In case you're not sure who that guy is, it's Brian Deary sitting on the couch staring at us, judging us from 20 feet away.
I just took away my brother's job.
Why did you ruin it for him?
I know. I ruined it.
All right, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much, guys. It's been fun. Thanks for putting
so
up
much,
with me primarily. And Jason King of Sean's Outpost, check it out. And Jason King and Dean Maisley, unsung.org. Get out there and help, guys. That's it. Every person can do that.
#HackHunger.
There you go. Be back next time.